Hi, welcome to this AQA A-Level Business revision video focusing on 3.4.1 Operational Objectives. In this video, we're going to explore the different objectives that the operations function might have and then how they impact on the corporate objectives. As a reminder, my teaching here is separate from my teaching and consultation roles in any and all academies up and down the country. My name is Mr. Giles. Let's get down to business. As a quick reminder, each business is going to have a corporate objective. That's the big overarching goal that it's trying to reach. Could be profit maximization, could be something like growth or innovation. Then it's the functional objectives that then come into play to try and meet that corporate objective. So the human resources function will pick an objective, finance will pick an objective, so on and so forth. So we're going to be exploring the operational objectives. So that means the people that are in charge of and work within the operations function, who are the very people who do the doing. So if it's a manufacturing business, these are the people who manufacture. If it's a service-based business, these are the people who actually provide the service. They're going to pick their objectives based off on what the corporate objective is. So as we work our way down each one, we'll try and link them to the corporate objectives. The first one for the operational objectives is going to be cost minimization. So if we have a corporate objective that is to profit maximize, it may well be that the operations function is trying to minimize the amount of waste and cost within the doing of the business in order to maximize the profit. If you remember, profit is revenue minus costs. So maybe they'll pick that one. Cost minimization is tricky because there are loads of different ways of doing it. And as we work through these revision videos, we will explore things such as lean production, just in time, and other bits and pieces like that. But that's what that objective is looking at, is minimizing waste and any sort of unnecessary costs. Now, just to add this in there, just a bit of a freebie here. Remember, there are 3 different types of waste. There is wasted time, wasted money, and wasted resources. More on that when we look at lean production. The next corporate objective is quality. Now, remember, this is all dependent on what the business does and how the business perceives quality. So if we use our Primark example, like we often do, are Primark overly concerned with quality? Let's say 5 out of 10. But if you're, say, Hugo Boss, are you worried about quality? Probably a 9 out of 10. So the quality objective will only be used if quality is of utmost paramount importance. Again, if we link that back to our corporate objective of, say, profit maximization, one of the ways that we increase revenue is by being able to increase the price. Well, how do we increase the price? We sell better quality products. Hopefully now you're seeing how these all link together. Up next, we have lead time. Lead time is how long it takes for the business to create and deliver the products. Now, this could be a source of competitive advantage. I hate to talk about it, but during the pandemic, the lead time for cars significantly increased. Number one, because people weren't at work, but number two, because the microchips that were required for the cars to be used and work came from China. Obviously, that all slowed down significantly, so it took almost a year for cars to be made. So if you were a car manufacturer in that time span and you could kick out cars quicker than, say, Fords, who were known for having a year-long waiting list, then you had a competitive advantage. Lead time can also be linked to quality, because the higher quality something is, the longer it takes to make. Up next, we have flexibility, and this is linked to the concept of mass customization. Again, we'll cover this in other videos. The operations department might decide that they want to make flexibility their key priority because of external events. So if the external environment is being somewhat volatile for whatever reason, from an economic perspective, a social perspective, wars, for example, the operations department might put all of their eggs in the basket of being as flexible as possible to be able to continue to produce items even when things aren't going their way. Now, with flexibility comes increased costs, because instead of having a fixed, say, production line or something like that, you might then try and upskill your workers to be as flexible as possible, to make them as useful as possible so that they can cover for each other, so on and so forth. But again, having a flexible workforce and having a flexible production line might give you a competitive advantage. But again, it depends on the business and the external environment. Then we have environmental objectives. These have actually become very important in, say, the last 5 years, because businesses are now being measured and judged on their impact on the environment. It's a real hot political topic at the moment. So businesses that are, being carbon neutral and reducing pollution, all that kind of stuff, are deemed to be better businesses. Well, if that's your corporate objective, because don't forget ethics, CSR is a corporate objective, then you can bet that the operations department are going to be doing everything they can to be using, say, renewable energy and recycling and all those kind of things. So this is a real hot topic. And then lastly, we've got the concept of value added. This, I would say, is the kind of go-to core operational objective, because value added is what businesses actually do. So if we break down into, why do businesses exist? Most people would say to make profit, and they'd be right. However, the way they make profit is by adding value. So if I asked you, well, how do Tesco's add value? Because they don't really sell a lot of their own stuff. They sell some, but most of the things that they sell are other people's things. How are they adding value? Well, they're adding value via convenience, because they take big bulk items like, millions of cans of Coca-Cola and then sell it to you one can at a time at a location that's convenient. That's how they add value. Any business that manufactures adds value by bringing together raw materials and creating products. And if your operational objective is to add value, you're going to try and bring together as many resources as possible and create the best possible product. So it could be seen, added value, as which business, or which business is actually producing the best value for money items. Who's got the best stuff going on for the price they're charging? And then, to give you an example of that, imagine you've got two different holidays. You've got a holiday where you jump on a plane, you go to a hotel, and the hotel only has a pool, versus, and the very topical Jet2 holidays right now, if you're watching this in the future, ask your grandkids about it. You're going on a Jet2 holiday and they've got the branded aeroplane with the great service. You go there, it's an all-inclusive hotel. There's breakfast, lunch and dinner and a pool and a kids club and entertainment. They've just added more value. But all of that requires the doers. Okay, you need the entertainers, you need the people in the kids clubs, you need the pool cleaners. They're all the doers. So if you want to, quote unquote, add value, you want to basically bring more things together at a more reasonable price. Those are your operational objectives and how they link in with the corporate objectives. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them down below and I'll be happy to answer them. You stay safe, and I'll see you in the next one.